Hi, everyone. This is crazy. I want to take a second really quick. It's going a little off script. I have parents in Arizona right now and sisters who were supposed to get on a flight yesterday and were bombarded by the craziest monsoon I think they have seen since moving there over a decade ago. So unfortunately, my family, some of them, aren't here today, but I am lucky enough to have plenty of people here to support me. But Mom and Dad, I know you're probably trying not to cry over your cell phone right now. Your support follows me everywhere I go. You could be anywhere in the world and I'd feel like you were in the room right here with me. So just know that. Now for the rest of you. Wow. Looking out at this audience today is a moment I have been waiting for a very long time. And like some of you, I'd be willing to bet I wasn't sure if I was ever destined for this moment. Well, if we're being honest, I knew I wanted this moment more than anything, but I had no idea how I was going to get to it. The cap, the gown, the diploma, the way to this accomplished was something that I never felt guaranteed. But when I looked around this arena today and I saw the smiles, the laughter, the nerves, which I'm definitely feeling right now, some of you surrounded by loved ones, and others standing just so tall on your own, I realized something. I am not the only person who's waited a long time to get here. Each of us has taken a profoundly unique journey to this day. It is a day that we have all had to work incredibly hard for, and I do not doubt for a minute there have been many sacrifices made along the way. And while every story in this room is worth celebrating, I want to take a moment to share mine. Not because it's the hardest or the most impressive. I know it's not, but I want to share it because there's a 17-year-old girl I made a promise to, and now it's time to deliver. She was younger, had much cooler hair, and just as big of dreams. But life, it had its plans for her. 14 years ago, I held a positive pregnancy test in one hand and college acceptance letters in the other. That's not a metaphor. That is basically how I found out I was going to be one of the best titles there is out there. A mom. Go mom. Go on. Now, I watched my high school classmates graduate, but it was from the TV screen of the basement of my home. I was pregnant, scared, and at that time, so unsure of my future. I graduated high school that day, but I was too scared and too ashamed to walk that stage. I was too afraid to take up space and be so vulnerable in front of my peers. I don't know if my family even knows this, but I cried that day. And I don't cry easily. I would have turned off the TV, but I had to sit through that whole thing because my boyfriend, now husband, yeah, he's pretty cool. He was graduating that day too. But his last name started with a W, which means he was near the very end. Yikes. So I soldiered through it, but I did promise myself, one day, that will be me. It was the guilt of letting myself be so small in that moment, well, entirely a human reaction to my circumstances. It's a feeling that I told myself I would never inflict upon myself again. In the years that followed, I climbed the corporate ladder, I married that high school sweetheart, and I moved across the country and back more than once. I had a daughter during the pandemic, and because the universe has a sense of humor, surprise twins shortly after. Yeah, you could say I was a little busy. But recently I paused and I looked around took out my mental notebook I had carried with me, made up of dreams and largely fueled by an iced coffee addiction. And I realized I had the career, I had the family, but what I didn't have was the thing I had promised myself all those years ago. I was a mom of 4 with tons of work experience, a stack of certifications, and so many accomplishments that I carried with pride, but no degree. To be honest, it was an aha moment where I realized I had been pouring into so many areas of my life, but it was time to make a choice. It was time to go back to something that was entirely for myself. So it was time. It was time to stare that goal in the face and make it happen. But how? And that's when my husband asked me a question that would change everything for me and how I viewed higher education. Have you heard of Western Governors University? That's my man voice. So out came the cell phone, as I'm sure you all can relate, in the chaotic Google searching, where I went down the glorious rabbit hole that led me here. WGU was there for me while I balanced baby bottles and reviewed flashcards. They were even there at nearly all hours, giving me the ability to move at my own pace. I didn't have to choose. I didn't have to sacrifice myself. I got to show up as a wife, as a mother, and as a student, all on my own terms. Sure, classes happened during nap times, late at night, or while I stirred dinner on the stove, definitely dodging Nerf darts. But isn't that the magic of all of this? WGU met every single one of us where we were at in life and helped us make it happen. They gave us a way to make higher education possible, no matter what our journeys looked like. This moment, it's not just about a diploma. It's about a promise kept. So I am going to take a moment to that 17-year-old girl sitting in her basement, unsure of if this day would come. We did it, and we rocked it. And now I'm on this stage, and I am not hiding. To my son, Braden, in the audience, I would do it this way all over again. You made me told myself I wouldn't cry. You made me the very best version of myself. And to anyone here who has ever had that very, very human feeling that you have fallen too far behind or that the path is too complicated, I hope my story reminds you, you are not behind. You are just on your way. In this moment, it's yours. To my fellow graduates, your story matters. This journey matters. Congratulations, class of 2025.